All right, this is MCA Countdown number 1. Starting out, justifying each step. It's always going to start off with given. You have to know what you're starting with. It's always given for your first line. Now, how would you go from this first line to the second line? We did 5 times n and 5 times -3 to get 5n minus 15. That was using the distributive property. Okay, now from here, we combine -15 and 4 to get to -11. So you might see this on the MCAs talking about the associative property. That's where in a group of 3 things, you can combine the whatever group that you want. But in this case, all 3 things weren't like terms. So all we're doing right here is just combining like terms. The next one, we went from -11 to 20. So what we did there is we added 11 to both sides, and that is the addition property of equality. And then finally, we got rid of the 5 by dividing by 5. The reason we can do that is the division property of equality. Next one, simplifying each expression. This is what we just got done doing in chapter 7. So we want 4 2's, so that would be m to the 8th. Then we want 4 3's, that would be n to the 12th power. We're done. Same thing here, clean this up first. So we do x to the 8th power first over x to the 5th. And then when we are just dividing, we subtract the exponents. So that'd be x to the 5th power. The last one, we need 4x squared, so that'd be x to the 8th. And then 4 -3, so y to the -12th. Now keep in mind that this whole thing was over 1, even though we don't see that. So this is also over 1. In order for this to be positive, which means simplify, we have to have all positive exponents. This whole thing goes down. So we're left with x to the 8th on the top over y to the 12th. Next one, we're trying to figure out which one is perpendicular to the line given above. So up here, all we care about is the slope. So we're just looking at 2/5. Now, perpendicular means we do 2 things. We go from positive to negative, and then we take the fraction and we flip it, find the reciprocal. So 2 goes to the bottom, 5 goes to the top. So it's going to be -5/2 for the perpendicular slope. We just go through and look for which one has a -5/2 slope. A does, B doesn't, C doesn't, and D actually shows a parallel slope, so that's also out. So it really doesn't matter what the y-intercept was. The answer is going to be A. And the next one is also asking for perpendicular. So all I care about here is just the slope. Same thing. 2 things are going to happen. It's going to go from positive to negative, and I'll flip the fraction to be -5/4. So let's see if I can just get lucky again and see if one of the options over here is -5/4. This is for sure out. That was parallel. This could be, but so could C. And D also has the same slope, so it's going to be between B or C. Now what we know is a point and the slope. So we're going to go back to our formula sheet, and we're going to plug in these 2 pieces of information in point slope form. So y minus 12, that's where this came from right there, equals our slope, that's right here, -5/4 times x minus our x value 4. Now I distribute. -5/4 times x would be -5/4 x, and -5/4 times a -4. What's going to happen is that this 4 and this 4 will cancel. We're just left with a 5, but then a -5 and a negative over here returns into a +5 equals y minus 12. Then I undo this subtracting 12 by adding 12 to both sides to get y equals negative 5/4 x plus 17, which means my answer is going to be C. Next one, system of equations. This is where we can use substitution, elimination, graphing. I think I want to use elimination. And I'm going to eliminate the y's because they have a positive and a negative. So really, I just want this to be a positive 3. So I multiply the entire top here by 3. So this would be 3. This turns into a 15. And then 8 times 3 would be 24. Then I just add these up. 15 plus 2 is 17x. The 3's are gone. And then 24 plus 10 would be 34. Now I divide by both sides by 17. X equals 2. Now technically I should keep going and figure out my y value, but because this is multiple choice, I'm just checking right now and seeing which ones have an x value of 2. A is out, B is out, C is out, which means it has to be 2. And we should keep going to make sure that the y value is negative 2. But we don't have to. We're done. It's going to be D. Next one is a word problem that we could do systems or just make an equation, a two-part equation. So charging $30 per yard. So 30x plus a $30 delivery fee. That's for Gurdon's. Now Bachman's is a little bit cheaper per yard, 25 per yard, and a more expensive delivery fee, plus 55. They want to know how many yards will the cost be the same. So these are both the cost, so I can say those are my yards over the x, my cost is my y. They're both equal to y, which means they're both equal to each other. So I do 30x plus 30 equals 25x plus 55. Cancel this 25x over here and this 25x over there. I get 5x plus 30 equals 55. And I cancel this 30 and this 30 here. I get 5x equals 25. Divided by 5 and divided by 5, I get x equals 5. So that means how many yards will it cost? 5 yards. Now, what will that cost be? My second question is I go back and plug it into either equation. I'm going to just do this one up here. 30 times 5 would be 150 plus 30 would be 180. So it's going to cost me $180 for either company when I only buy 5 yards.